we'll try to make this session as interactive as possible. We'll also give some time towards the end for any questions that you might have. So let me begin by sharing a few data points based on a survey that was done by my company last year on the digital transformation of HR, and especially, how is it helping the HR community to advance the people agenda. So this survey was done with companies across industries, and we'll just share some of the key insights that we got from the survey. So based on all the companies, around 49% companies said that they are accelerating their digital transformation agenda. So they're not just focusing on the agenda, but also accelerating that agenda. 74% of the companies said that digital skills are key to building and maintaining an agile workforce. 53% said that they are accelerating the use of virtual recruiting and onboarding tools. And more than half of the organizations actually said that they are in the process of redesigning the structures for a digital-focused organization. So clearly there is a huge impact of technology that is being felt across all organizations, across all sectors. And terms like agile, data-driven, AI-driven, predictive analytics are no longer only associated with business or IT. These are the expectations that business has from HR also, in terms of the attributes that they should display and also the technologies that they should leverage, right? But there is a flip side to this story as well. When you speak to the CEOs, the business leaders today, they always complain about things like high attrition, not having a capable workforce with the required skill sets to further their agenda, not having the required structures and roles for a digital transformation, right? So there's definitely some gaps that exist, and there's some work that needs to be done by HR to actually achieve the digital transformation agenda and the tech transformation of different functions and different organizations. So let me begin by asking the panelists here, where do you think we are on this journey of transformation of HR through technology? Obviously, this journey has got expedited hugely because of the pandemic that all of us went through and are still going through. But where have we reached so far, and what are some of your learnings on the way? So maybe maybe Kashish can start first.
Thank you, and a very good afternoon to everybody. Lovely to be here with all of you today. So to your question, we have, because of the quantum leap that digitalization took, we have acquired a lot of tools, we have created a lot of options. The workspace parallelly has been undergoing changes from completely work from home to hybrid to now a mixture of hybrid and back to office. I think now is a time where we are all going to either have started or are going to start evaluating how we are going to build our EVPs in from a long-term future of work perspective to bring in the right kind of mix or the right tools which we will need to build the efficiency and the agility and the engagement of this workforce, which is today a mix of hybrid and completely in person and office. I don't know how long this is sustainable and how it is going to play out in future. Is this going to be all back to work? My personal opinion here is I doubt it, because we are also at the background, at least in the IT industry, hearing of a whole lot of gig worker pool, talent pool which has come up, which we don't want to lose out on. So we will have to have the right tools and the digital processes to be able to reach out to them, engage them, and blend them into the way we are building our business growth models. And also, we also have now begun and experienced how diversity talent pools across, be it regional, be it global, be it gender, be it people with disability, how integral they have become to us. And it is no longer a free talent pool which we need to get it, because it's a good thing to have all your companies, mix. But these will operate in the way they are designed to operate. So our tools and our digital journey will need to blend in and need to evolve around some of these themes. So we quickly got into a space where we moved very fast. We acquired the tools to engage. Now we are going to sift through that, and we are going to institutionalize what works well with what we have evolved as, each organization has evolved as their EVP, going forward. So that's how I see this space growing.
So that's a very beautiful point that you brought out, Kashish, and I'll come back to it after Viekas has made his point. But the thing about building a more long-term orientation, because I think over the last 2 years, most of the companies were almost firefighting because they were just thrown into this chaos and this new thing that they didn't understand. But now that things are stabilizing, there is a need to kind of focus more on the long-term stuff and make sure that the investments that were made over the last 2 years actually bear fruit and achieve the objectives that set out.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks Kashish for setting up the ball has rolled, your end, and I take it on because I come from Dhanuka Agritech. We are into agri-input technology industry where our consumer is way on the corner of the fag end of the country, countryside, where there was no technology, hardly any technology present if you talk 3 years back. Now accordingly, our talent pool was physically reaching out to them, but last 3 years technically taught us to bring technology into that space, where now we see farmers connecting over the digital media with our ecosystem. Our retailers, rural retailers are connecting over digital media. Our distributors are connecting over digital media. Our own learning curve has been primarily training these people. The entire ecosystem, I'm going from a consumer to a retailer to a distributor and to a person who's bringing in the value, is training the entire ecosystem to bring on board. Going back to our manufacturing units, where we actually looked at how do we immerse this digital technology into the manufacturing space so that there is more engagement of people who are in the market versus people who are manufacturing. So I see 3 years has completely transformed from us from a note of technology and physical domain to I would say largely a hybrid domain. Now that I see this has developed, we are using technology more and more to engage with each other. So we have regular, digital meetings which are organized with field forces, and our connectivity with field forces is helping us to bring up the output and productivity of our teams.
So just want to probe a little bit on the point that you made around challenges that you face when you are actually trying to digitize the processes which are linked to the field force, right? Because I think that's the population which is first of all a mass population for any organization. And second is that the kind of skills and kind of maturity that they have might not be the same as a white collar workforce within the organization, right? So can you talk about some of the learnings that you had when through this journey of actually digitizing some of the processes, getting them on board onto some of the virtual platforms that you now are using for interaction and for coordination?
Another interesting question, because this journey starts from your nursery class. I think all of us need to learn to build that platform which starts from basics. Getting the basics right was very important. I remember the time when people did not know how to operate the technology on the phone, their smartphones. People had to be taught. So we took separate sessions of getting people onboarded onto technology, how to use it. We had to teach them what backgrounds to, people would put multiple backgrounds which will actually diminish the quality of video. We talked of how you can sustain the audio quality, when you should, how, and when you should keep it silent, when you should speak. How to use, we created environments where we could get people on the live platforms while advise them how to, be conversant and, sensitive about other people's presence. So, I think right from the basics, we had to bring them on board. A lot of things also depends on the environment, because you have to bring environment to the table for people. And when we looked at people, they did not have right environment. Some people were in the field, some people were not having the right space, they could use technology properly. So we had to guide them to be at the right platform for them to be able to use the technology also. So even that had to be told to them, to bring out when they are there, where they could use it, how they could use it. We also created platforms of people who are more used to technology, so they could coach people on the field, to use, to co-create this learning experience. So I think we took about 6 months to create this whole learning experience, to bring it live and their ecosystem.
Sure. Thanks, Viekas, for sharing those insights. I think for many of the people who are sitting here who probably have a field force, workforce within their organization, I think some of these insights would probably help you in actually dealing with some of the challenges that you also have. So now coming to the point that Kashish made around having a long-term orientation, right? So one thing that you typically see today, which technology has helped different organizations in kind of transforming, is that earlier, for the longest time, HR was focusing on operational processes. It was seen more as a support function, which is providing certain transactional services and also record keeper, right? Now, HR is being, as an expectation, there is an expectation for HR to focus on more strategic aspects using technology. So let technology take care of all the transaction processes, operational processes. We don't need any manual intervention over there. But HR as a function, and in terms of all its resources, should be focusing on more long-term strategic stuff, which helps the organization in actually achieving some of the long-term objectives that it has set for itself. So Kashish, then what do you think, how has technology helped in actually making this shift for organizations in terms of moving from a transactional, operational focused HR to a strategic HR? And second is also, if you can share some specific examples that you have used within your organization in terms of the initiatives that you've launched, that will be really helpful.
Sure. So the biggest thing that has happened is that there is an efficiency that has come into the way the HR operations are being run now. There is more accuracy around it. The manual interventions have reduced. Where there would be the turnaround times, be it hiring or be it onboarding, offboarding, training, easy availability of options. I think all of that has just become so much better than where it was a few years back. Purely because now we have tools. However, what we now is as an expectation, and rightly as Tanuj pointed out, the importance is now how do we have other bigger questions which have got brought to the table. How do you keep the motivation of this workforce alive? How do you build a culture that promotes meritocracy, that drives productivity, that enhances utilization? How do you bring in, even basics like how do you train a first-time manager? One is a training capsule which can be easily accessed, but how do you then see that, how do you give the exposure and the experience, and how do you work on that to build leadership? Leadership has acquired a completely different meaning from what it used to be earlier. Manager's role has changed drastically. We've always talked about manager effectiveness, we've always talked about how pivotal managers are, but today with the kind of distributed workforce within remote, in-person, hybrid, all of this, and a matrix reporting which is becoming more and more important, where cross-cultural and cross-functional teams are working together because the roles have changed. How do you then build that manager effectiveness in that environment? The dialogue is very different from where it used to be earlier. I remember, not too long back, but even 5-6 years back, if you had to run a manager effectiveness session, it would be a fairly crystalline that you must engage, you must talk, you must reach out, have your skip levels, do your appraisals. It's no longer that. It is very different. Today we struggle to even figure out the best way, and I don't know if anybody has that, but is there a best recipe to ensure that the manager who is having a meeting with his team, of which 10% people are in office, 20% are hybrid, and the remaining 70% are remotely placed. Of the 70%, largely about 50% or 60% are new people who have never even seen the organization or who have never stepped foot into any facility or any office. So what is that connect? How do you build that connect with that brand? How do you build the connect with the ethos of that organization? I think these are the key things that we are all working on right now in trying to understand the best way to put this and put it in a frame that people understand as a part of the culture transformative evolving process, not as something which is mandated or which is required or can be institutionalized by directive. I think that is where HR is now playing a more critical role. HR has moved from, suddenly in the last 2 years, the business partnership of HR has gone a humongous change to being, so there was always an HRBP, but what an HRBP used to do 5 years back or 3 years back is very different from what an HRBP is doing today. And HRBP is today even required to understand what is the critical role in that business unit, what is the market intelligence around that, how do I build the talent pipeline? Ideally, we would say talent pipeline is recruitment, talent acquisition. The dialogues are very different because you own, because they're supposed to be the partners, they're supposed to anticipate and what is going to happen, how is the business evolving, understand that roadmap in completeness so that they're able to also go back and advise the talent transformation team in terms, or the talent development teams in terms of what are some of the skill sets which they are foreseeing will become relevant to business. So that's how we've seen a whole shift in the way HR is evolving. And I think it's a very, very positive shift. That's
I think I'm building on what Kashish has already presented. We are trying to scratch and see, and there's been a shift of HR, and I see my managers now talking about mental wellness, my manager talking about work-life balance. These are the things we had to force upon, and I really see that transformation and change in the thought process, and technology has really worked for us. Now I'll talk of a few things which really helped us to bring it live on the table. Now we called this new technology group called Sahyog 2.0. Now this is bringing people together to be able to solve people's problems, and nobody knew if I have a problem and who do I reach out to? Is it my manager or somebody else? Now there's a group of team which has been created. It's called Sahyog. Sahyog 2.0 is reaching through a technology chatbot to every corner of the country, and today one corner of the country is facing a problem. It could be a personal problem, it could be a professional struggle. People do reach out, and there is a mechanism to at least go through right set of departments and bring out some kind of solution. So people have got a channel to reach out more than their functional needs for their own emotional needs. Second, we also partnered with few technology partners. I'm talking about one of the partners who really helped us was Viekas, who helped to bring in some kind of psychologists to get people to talk very privately, and even we wouldn't know who's talking to whom, how many people are using it, but we could get analytics of what is the usage patterns. People could reach out in multi-language, because we had our people in South talking Telugu or Tamil, could reach out in their local language and could consult and come out of their own professional and personal struggles. I'm also talking of training and development. We launched this, one of the most, I would say, it's a very unique hybrid platform called DARES, where you start from the very basic level and graduate to advanced level, and then within a 3 years time you get graduated, you get groomed from higher roles like managerial roles, and we could plug it with technology, and today with this hybrid mode we could get people to learn and to get their skin in terms of how do we graduate from level 1. It's not only clearing the exams, it's not only getting trainings, but it's also getting coaching on the field and then getting scoring around that. So this whole platform of DARES helped us to get across people through technology. These are a few of the examples we used. Plus one more example, we also used AI tool to get a chatbot called Dhani. People could reach out to Dhani for clarifying all their technical queries around product. And if there is a supply gap, if there is a demand issue because of rain, because our production and our consumption is dependent on rains and climate. So if there is a climatic disruption in any region, people could reach out to Dhani to be able to promote, and Dhani has become a good buddy for people across the organization. So all this has happened with the help of technology.
Sure. Thanks, Kashish, and because I think some of the specific examples that you shared are very helpful. Just wanted to touch upon, get your quick thoughts on one more aspect which people keep talking about, which is the employee experience bit, right? Which is around making sure that instead of providing a one-size-fits-all solution, you understand what are the different needs of different employee sets within your organization, and providing solutions and products which are specific, which meet those specific needs, right? So how, just wanted to hear your thoughts on how technology can actually help the HR community in actually building that employee experience.
So I think the opportunity to customize it to different requirements of different employees, that is the flexibility that technology provides us. The ability to reach out and connect is something, and with speed, that is something that technology provides us. The opportunity to constantly stay connected 24/7 and I say that more from an employee well-being space, that is something which technology provides us. We are able to even have, for example, a better bench, a bit more time to train, retrain, upskill, reskill our employees and build the internal talent capability, because technology has helped us optimize the bandwidth of the employees, and hence, as an organization, I get more time and a bigger window to invest in the skill sets of the employees. So I think it's all very good. It's a very, very positive space we've landed in, despite the very unfortunate events that led us to it. And we will shape something which is going to be the future of work for us.
Technology definitely, in my mind, helps you to co-create this with, because people do connect with technology today. And I can connect with people who are millennials, I can connect with all generations, genres in the organizations through technology. I can bring them on board and help them to co-create this by self-using that. It's not about HR or HR guiding it, it's about they using it for their own benefit, and it so beautifully flows in that you don't need beyond a point to coach and guide them. It's so self-starting for them. And thanks to the kind of platforms that are available today, it gets very easy for us to bring it out to them. Now the bigger challenge for HR is, and Rashmi, you talked about attrition and you talked about engagement. How do we ensure that whatever data or information which comes to us flows in back in terms of a value to the employee, right? That's very important for us to gauge. You can buy technology, you can create platforms, you can co-create these systems, but that channel of value back, value for the employee is very, very important. It's getting more critical these days. I was in another forum a few days back and I heard from most of the CHROs that they said that people do realize the organizations who were mentally, psychologically present with them during this COVID time, they are more attached to them. That's how the stickiness of employees is coming in from that piece. So I think that is a bigger challenge for HR, to create that stickiness through a channel of value back to the employees, which is very good.
Sure. So coming to the last question before we open the floor for the audience questions, right? So we've understood what is the current state, what are some of the initiatives that organizations can take to kind of accelerate this digital transformation agenda. Just wanted to get your thoughts on what do you think the future holds? Do you think the current pace of transformation will continue? And again, what are some of those technologies or areas which will continue to dominate this tech transformation of HR area?
Oh yes, definitely the transformation journey will continue. The momentum may have its ups and downs, but we've definitely changed and got onto a new fresh course. We will, my personal opinion here is that we will be seeing a lot more diversity in the workforce. The kind of work models or job models that are there, those will undergo a huge amount of change. Jobs and roles will change drastically in the next 3 years, not too far off. The skill set required for the jobs is going to be a huge change. And all of this gets linked to technology because we will then be operating in spaces which are more cohesive, which will require a lot of these diverse engagements across, a lot of co-collaboration of skills and competencies. So a lot is going to happen in this space, and all of this will be directly proportional to the way the business models are changing. So we will see the customer has changed. So since the way the customer has changed, that has kind of led us to all of this. So we will see a lot of change a good change in this digital space.
I think most of it has been already stated by Kashish, and for the sense of repetition, I'm just building it on by saying that diversity inclusion is the future and brings in a very core aspect of culture. And I'm not talking about diversity inclusion only in terms of gender. However, changing conversations at the workplace, technology is going to play a very important role in doing that. And it's very easy for a CHRO today to bring policies and change processes, build processes, but to change the conversations which people do is a tough nut to crack. And I use technology to be able to instill that in people from time to time because I can reach out to them more often. Second part is on the consumer side, like in my industry, we are seeing drones-based technology at the agriculture level. I think going back, getting technical people on board, getting technical competencies introduced into our leadership competency model, looking at people who can coach and guide people to bring them on board in terms of technology. Whole learning curve and learning ecosystem in terms of technology has to speed up. I need our visionaries, our senior people in our team to talk about it, and we've started doing that. We have made sure that people, when they address the seniors or the chairman, they would talk of technology today, right? And they would state examples, and those examples are stated to people. So I think that creates a larger ecosystem to evolve. Third is definitely a user group, right? Now, users have to be trained to self-use it. You cannot keep training people; they have to start using it. So that usage part has to go up tremendously, and I think there's a need of at the grassroots level that everybody is upgraded to start using it. So I think we'll have to instill people to get more used to it and start using it as a user group. And technology is not owned by just hiring one CTO or a technology department. It is owned by each and every department. Is how it will spread out. That's how I feel the future.
Thanks, Vikas and Kashish.